Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to thank all the folks joining us in the gallery this evening. I'd like to thank also the members of the administration that are present. Mr. CEO, is there anything that you wanted to say before we get the meeting started?
Just join me, folks, in welcoming our latest member to the staff. Vanessa Vandermeer has joined us effective Monday as the Legislative Coordinator and Executive Assistant. Vanessa comes to us with distinguished service in the village of Linden and the village of Carbon. And she will be our new parliamentary champion. So when it comes to following policy, I suggest we just listen to what Vanessa has to say.
Well, thank you very much and welcome. With that out of the way, I will call the meeting to order for the Town of Didsbury regular council meeting for Thursday, June 11th, 2026, and the time is 6 p.m. Excuse me. First item on the agenda is, of course, the adoption of today's agenda. There are no changes, so if I could just get a quick motion on that, that would be great.
I move that council adopt the agenda as presented.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All in favor? Motion is carried. Item 3 on the agenda is delegations presentations. The first of which is item 3.1, the Rosebud Health Foundation. If you'd like to come up and join us, that would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Good evening. First of all, I'm Peggy Good, the chairperson of the Rosebud Health Foundation.
Leo Duso, treasurer of the Rosebud Health Foundation.
And Leo has been the treasurer for many years and been on the foundation, so that's to be acknowledged. We just wanted to take a couple minutes tonight. I know agendas are busy, but we thought it's important that as the foundation we keep sort of who we are and know everybody in our surrounding area that we work with. And the foundation covers the Didsbury Hospital, obviously, and so Didsbury, but it also includes the town of Carstairs and the village of Cremona, and then the rural residents in that surrounding area. So it's kind of exciting this year that we did have our gala in April and we celebrated 30 years. So we've been around for 30 years, and it really got started mainly with the helipad that was needed and put in and has kept the hospital, I think, viable and running. But a couple just quick comments is the foundation has raised in excess of $2 million in the 30 years. We did have the handout here given, which is my apologies that it was later in doing that. I had been speaking with Jocelyn and she's not here, but just to take a quick look at some of the things that the foundation has covered. And of course, as we all know, their asks are getting larger, they're getting more numerous, and the requests that what Alberta Health Services is able to cover and to fund is, I wouldn't say shrinking, but it's being stretched. I guess that's the word to use, it's being stretched. So we have a lot of requests come in, and as the board, we certainly sit and go through and vet those requests to decide if we are able to fund them and to support the health and I guess the lifestyle in our community. And our requests are getting larger. We've just had a very large request come in for some equipment at the hospital, and we're out, to always look to partner, to canvass, and to make it aware of our needs as well. We met with Mountain View County a couple months ago, and they graciously stepped up as well and have funded 2 courses that we're running right now for rural residents to receive their first aid and CPR. And so we've just finished one this week. We do another one next week. But the suggestion from Angela Abers, the Reeve, was that we should maybe look at working with the county, the town of Didsbury, and the town of Carstairs, village of Cremona, and everybody to kind of see if there could be a common sort of goal of going forward for needs for our area. So I did want to mention that. And I would like Leo to have a chance to speak, because you certainly need to do that as well.
Thank you, Peggy. Good evening. As Peggy said, AHS is putting it on our shoulders and the community shoulders to basically equip the hospital with equipment. Right now, they're looking and made a request to us for digital X-ray equipment, which is a pretty substantial expense. We're thinking of trying to partner with the county and the municipalities in our district to maybe help with this major project, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here tonight. And also to thank the council when we had our gala a couple months ago.
April 25th.
Yeah. Council and the town helped us with the venue and stuff, so thank you.
It was a huge asset to give us the facility for the whole weekend. So we could move in as volunteers and not be time constrained to decorate, put it together. Town staff helped us to set up tables and chairs, and they helped us take down all the tables and chairs. So it was really appreciated, and thank you, Leo. We did want to mention that. And I think the main thing was just to make sure that this council knows who the Rosebud Health Foundation is, and that we have a face to know who the town of Didsbury council and staff are, and that we can work together in the future, hopefully on projects that will be better and important to our community. So does anybody have any questions of us?
So I've been a long-term resident of Didsbury. Actually, I was born here. Not in the hospital, but I could have been, because back then there was some surgeries. I had my appendix out in the hospital. It is such an asset to the town, and I want to thank you for the work that you do and the fundraising that you do to help keep it going. My question is, how much is a digital X-ray machine? Like, it's not that it matters to anyone. I'm just curious at the cost of.
In excess of 150 grand.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. But
Yeah, and that would be inclusive of the actual machine that would need to come into the hospital, and then have a portable one as well that could be taken as needed down to emergency or whatever if people aren't able to be moved to the X-ray room.
Thank you.
Have you guys talked to Airdrie as well? Because I know I have a lot of friends and family from Airdrie that use our hospital exclusively because it's a 14-hour way to the Peter Lougheed, or come here and it's 3. So is there any appetite to go that route too?
AHS has cut up the health foundations like us. Airdrie has their own health foundation, and Cochrane.
Cochrane, Olds has theirs.
Canmore and Olds. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Roy.
Sorry, just what's currently in place at our hospital as far as X-ray equipment goes then?
Sorry?
What's currently in place at the hospital for X-ray equipment? Like,
It's
is this-
an analog system.
Okay, so this is not great. It's not a.
The X-ray room actually would not need any construction changes, but it's an analog system, and they want to now go for digital, actually for a few reasons. One of them is even less radiation than the analog. So, I mean, there's a lot of
Couple
reasons.
steps above Madam Curry's.
And
Doesn't sound like that.
And I will mention just a couple things that we have picked up really recently was a cardiac monitor, a portable cardiac monitor. So we work with the physicians there as well, and that was something that they really asked for, was to have a portable cardiac monitor that could, if the only other monitor was being used and somebody comes in and emerge, they wanted to have that. So a few things that they've put through seem so simple. Another thing is a stat spin, which is a centrifuge for the lab. So of course they have a centrifuge at the lab, but if somebody comes in with symptoms of a heart attack, they need to do an instant blood draw and centrifuge it, and this separate machine can do it without waiting for the 30 minutes, etc., of the original one that's being used. So, I mean, there's been a lot of things that we've worked with the doctor, and the things that come through from the hospital, or we support primary care, which is public health, and we support mental health, which is now called Recovery Alberta, and home care. That all is gone through a supervisor before it comes to the board. So it's not sort of just people picking or thinking they need or want something. It goes through that process and then it comes to us. Yeah.
Thanks for coming. Is it, can you give me an idea of your job as a foundation to be doing all the equipping of the instruments for the hospital, or is there shared responsibility where AHS provides some, or is that burden completely on the foundation?
It seems that, get the feeling at times that they're pawning everything on foundations to equip the hospitals and that, but they are spending a lot of money, taxpayers' money, doing it too. And I guess just sitting on the board, I only see, and we only see what's asked of us, but there's an awful lot also still coming out of Edmonton.
Mm-hmm. So certainly they are doing what is probably considered on their priority list. We just have to make sure, or we hope, that if we're waiting maybe 5-10 years for something, if we can assist, that we are able to assist with the hospital and the staff. But Alberta Health Services does, yes, certainly decide what and how they can pay for equipment, but a tremendous amount is coming to us. If you look at that list, we just purchased 2 tubs for the hospital that would not have been purchased, and they come in at about $45,000 a tub. And that again is that the long-term care residents can actually have a safe bath and be lowered into the tub, taken out of the tub, and everything is ran and done properly and safely. So it's just those items that we're trying to ensure that our residents and our people that live here have a quality of life to give them a better chance at a healthy lifestyle.
One more question. Do you have a website that lists the things that you actually provide for the hospital on an ongoing basis?
We do, and to that point, unfortunately, we were part of the issue that happened here about a month ago where our website was hijacked, and it was nothing was taken from our site or hacked to GAN or anything other than to wipe it clean. And we were one of something like 200,000 customers that happened with. So our website went completely down, is cleaned off, and we now are just in the process of going to rebuild that with Didsbury computers. So the website, when you go on it, it'll just say in operation of being maintained or upgraded, but we are working on that as soon as we can. But it is on this pamphlet, the website.
The list that's on the handout that you got is just basically just some highlights.
Mm-hmm.
Over the years, it's amazing what's gone into there. And then, I guess it would be about 20-25 years ago when they decommissioned a bunch of beds in town. A lot of stuff that the foundation had got for them, AHS moved it to other hospitals in the district. Like what chapped me at the time is a lot of stuff we got ended up in Drumheller.
We're working a little bit more, hopefully, diligently now and stronger, that we can ensure that what the foundation is purchasing will stay here and be used here.
Okay. So this, I guess, sort of proposal to do something with the town of Didsbury and Al, I'll just say, is that something that you just started to work on, or is that something that you're coming to us with a proposal tonight?
We were just coming tonight to introduce ourselves, to meet you mainly, and this has come up fairly recently, this request for the digitalization. So it's just a comment that was made by the county, and we thought it was a great idea to maybe put a proposal forward and then just see where we go.
And we were hoping that when you heard it, you would go, what a great idea.
I wrote that down.
That's okay. You got that. Listen, I think everybody in town, sorry, girl, just 1 second. I think everybody in town values the hospital greatly. It's one of the things that made us move to this town is that we have our own hospital. So I think it's something that I could support. I'm not saying financially yet, but definitely, spirit of support anyway, at least. So thank you for coming to us tonight. Maybe that's a follow-up conversation then.
Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you for having us.
Was there ever council representation on the Rosebud Health Foundation?
Yes, there was. During construction of the helipad, at times, you were sitting, were you on?
I wasn't on, my brother was.
Okay. Yeah, there was a council member sitting on the board.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
For some information, it's nice that you come out here and you're able to share this with us. But we should maybe also be engaged somehow, and I don't know what that would look like. I can't propose anything for council, but I was just curious if there were ever council members on the board or attending the board meetings.
They were mostly, I think, overseeing the building of the helipad, that we were staying within the lines.
And we meet the third Tuesday of every month at 6:15 at the hospital boardroom. Then the meetings are obviously open to the public, and we're always looking for members as well, members to join our foundation. We will take a recess through July and August is the intent, that we will not meet, but the rest of the year we are at our meetings.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the council? Thank you very much for coming tonight. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Very well.
If we could just get a motion for the delegation, that would be much appreciated. Thank you, Will.
I move that council thank the Rosebud Health Foundation for their delegation and accept it as information.
All in favor? Motion is carried. Thanks very much. Have a great night. All right, that takes us to item 3.2 on the agenda, which is another delegation from E3 Lithium. Welcome, Lee.
Thank you. I'm going to get my Pittsburgh A&W.
Thanks for shopping locally.
Yeah. Hello. Thank you. Oh, yes, I can push the button. How's that? My name's Lee Clark, and I'm from E3 Lithium, and I'm pleased to be here. I apologize if I seem a little tired. I woke up in Washington, D.C. on Monday morning and in Ottawa on Tuesday morning. And I don't say that to suggest that I'm all that important, but I do want to talk to you about one of Alberta's new resources that is extremely important, and we're very excited to be part of working to develop it, work with our communities here. So I'm the VP of Government Relations at E3, and appreciate the invite from CAO Simpson and Mayor Little to come in and address council. If I seem a little tired, I apologize, but I'll do my best to keep it interesting. At the highest level, Alberta is blessed. Its geology continues to keep on giving. For 60 years, we've been extracting hydrocarbons out of the Leduc Reservoir. That's the one that Imperial punched Leduc number 1 in 1947. It did come up a gusher, but what most folks don't know is that about 90% of that gusher was water, salty water and salty brine. So for about 60 years, Imperial and others have been developing this resource between Edmonton and Calgary. And for years, it's always been about 80 to 90% water. So we've always taken the hydrocarbon off, we've taken the oil off, we've taken the gas off, but we've been left with what's been called produced water. And all that time, that produced water has either been piped or put in trucks and then re-injected into that reservoir to keep it pressurized. The fact is, at this point, most of the hydrocarbons, at least in the Leduc, have been expended. But about 10 years ago, the gentleman that started E3, his name was Chris Dornbos, Alberta boy, and went to U of A, a geologist, had a theory that, and he had heard that there was lithium in that brine water in the Leduc. And he had a theory that said that if the world moves towards more electrification of its mobility, i.e. EVs, if it had to store energy using batteries, if the war-fighting landscape changed and there was more autonomous warfighting, which we see going on, that would increase the demand for lithium and that would increase the price of lithium. So he had a theory that, and he had a suspicion that there was lithium in the Leduc reservoir in those brines, and he turned out to be right. So about 10 years ago, he got the permits for what's now known as the Leduc Reservoir lithium and brine resource, and began developing a technology that would allow E3 to extract the lithium from the brines and put that into the marketplace on the assumption that the price would go up. He was right. Price has gone up. Demand has gone up. I drove up here tonight in a Lightning F-150 electric truck, but the lithium in that truck and in those batteries came from China, and that's that's the key point about the strategic advantage that Alberta has as a player in the critical mineral space, and specifically lithium for batteries, for lithium-ion batteries, is we have the opportunity, actually just east of Olds, at what's known as the Old Dick gravel pit, which has now done its final crush, to build a facility there where we would pump brine to that facility, extract the lithium, and then send that to market, which would diversify Alberta's economy, provide more royalty to the province, and I'm confident provide more local benefit, which I'm happy to speak to a little bit more as we go, in terms of investment, employment, use of services in the area. Didsbury, Olds, Torrington, Bowden, Carstairs is sort of our main footprint. So we're very excited about that. We've been developing the resource for quite some time. We're confident in our ability to extract the lithium. The extraction technology is called direct lithium extraction. It's not dissimilar to the water softener in your house. So the water softener, you put sodium in there, so it pulls the calcium out of the water and substitutes a sodium ion. We've developed a technology that pulls the lithium ion out and substitutes another ion in. And we've now piloted that technology in the field just east of Olds, just off Highway 27, not far from the May City Hutterite colony. And we're now demonstrating our ability to produce the brine from the resource through a producing well, put it through the extraction technology, and then put the brine back down into the reservoir to keep it pressurized, take the lithium, and through a existing commercial process, convert it into what's known as lithium carbonate. That's the biggest single lithium product in demand today for inclusion in lithium-ion batteries, be it for electric vehicles, electric storage, military capability, etc. And that kind of brings me full circle to this, well, why did you wake up in Washington? Because Alberta and this resource, which happens to be probably, it's thought to be the third biggest lithium resource on planet Earth, is very much on the minds of those who are trying to figure out ways to displace Chinese dominance on the supply chain for electric, for batteries, for electric mobility, etc. And then Ottawa is always, at the same time, very interested in this opportunity as well. So we've been working in the community, and I apologize we haven't been here sooner. We should have, but I'm glad to be here this evening to develop the resource. We have the demonstration plant where we will be producing, extracting, re-injecting just off of Highway 582 at Range Road 283. You may have seen, if you drive out 582, you might see a tent out there with a big white tent with an E3 logo on it. So we're demonstrating our ability to do this at a commercial scale, and then if we are successful, and I do think the Canadian government, the provincial government, and other governments want us to be successful, we would have a commercial facility, as I said, at the Dick Pit on the Three Hills Road, just near 791, which is we have an option to purchase that from Mountain View County. So we've been working very closely with Mountain View County. Excuse me. Long-winded way of saying, Alberta, like I said, Alberta's geology seems to keep on giving. We do have a massive resource here. Demand, even though perhaps you've heard that electric vehicle demand is softening, the reality is that the price of lithium is actually strengthening as we move forward here. And any source that's outside of China, which dominates the processing side of this, is getting more and more attention. So we're very excited about that. What does it mean for Didsbury, etc.? Well, our hope is that as much as possible, we will have local employment. The demonstration facility off of 582 will probably have 5 to 10 operators running it, and we actually have a handout here to provide to the council and to Mr. Simpson to make sure that if there are people that would be eligible to be operators for a facility like this, that they're aware of it. We'd like to hire locally as much as we can. Once we go to full commercial at the Dick Pit, it's probably about 1,000 person construction force, and we would love to obviously use as much local services as we can. We have been using local services on that demonstration facility I talked about. I asked our guys to tell me within an hour's drive of that facility how much of the spend on that demo has been made within an hour's drive. And it's of the $4 million, about $500,000 has been spent locally, and we'll continue to emphasize that. I think long-term, we're looking at probably about 100 full-time employees at the facility. Again, we're looking as much as possible to hire locally if we can. And that obviously, those facilities, that central facility will be fed by a network of wells that produce the brine, pipe it to that central facility, then send it back once the lithium's out of it, re-inject it. That means a lot of linear tax for Mountain View County, which I'm given to understand helps with the tax base here at Didsbury. We're talking at full commercial scale probably somewhere in the $10 to $20 million in tax revenue that we'll be able to provide to the community as well. And I did listen with interest to the Rosebud Health Trust folks that were here. We're pre-revenue. We do a little bit of support in the community. Go to Maisie's when we can, go to the A&W. I just bought a beef at the Eagle 4-H on Thursday night once I got back from Ottawa. Once we get to revenue and are a operating business in the area, and this is a 50-year asset, just so we know, so if we're going to be here, we're going to be long-term neighbors. We'd love to be able to support organizations like the Health Trust, et cetera, as we move forward. So that was a very, very high-level overview. But again, there's the Leduc well, and that resource area on the blue, that's the area that E3 has the potential to develop. The white box is Project 1, that commercial facility I was talking about. That's called the Clearwater Project. But you can tell the blue box is a lot bigger than the white box. We do have the opportunity, if we can prove this out, to develop probably 5 or 6 projects like this in Alberta going forward. And the Alberta strategic advantage is obviously we've got a good regulatory regime. We've got great communities that we work with. We've got infrastructure. We're not, this isn't an open pit mine somewhere in the Northwest Territories. We've got all the local resources and know-how that we need. The guys who drilled our wells at that demo facility off of 582, when they were done, they went and drilled a couple wells for Cenovus, conventional wells. So there's a lot of nice synergies in what we're doing. All we're really doing is, instead of going after the hydrocarbons, we're going after the water. Some people think that's crazy, but it turns out, like I said, that water has a commercial product in it, and we're very excited about bringing that to the market. We've got about $70 million in government funding, both on the federal and provincial level today, because I think those governments understand, particularly in this strange new world that we live in, that domestic sources of things that are critical have a high strategic value. And we look forward to making sure that Alberta can take its place as part of the arsenal of democracy, if you will, in providing these critical materials, not just our oil and gas, but also our lithium, into the world markets to help strengthen Alberta, help strengthen local communities like Didsbury, Mountain View, Olds, and strengthen Canada's position in the world as well. So that was a lot, and but I'd be more than happy to answer a bunch of questions. So.
Yeah, thanks for your 50,000 feet.
It was certainly 50,000.
Still trying to come down the earth from that one.
I appreciate your patience with my brain dump, but thank you.
Just in terms of any types of pushback that you're having, the kind of answers that you give for that kind of pushback, is there any kind of information on that?
Happy to speak to that. We are fully regulated by the Alberta Energy Regulator. The government gave them a new mandate a couple of years ago to not only regulate the hydrocarbon industry, but also the brine-hosted mineral industry. So we've been going through all of the standard regulatory requirements to get our permits in place. We have our permits, obviously, for the demo facility off of 582 that's in operations. We have filed all of our applications for the commercial plant at the Dick Pit. But we didn't file those until December and January, these last December and January. But we made the commitment to get out and start talking to the community, and particularly the landowners that are close to that Dick Pit, who will be most impacted. And I would have been out in late 2023, early 2024, talking to them, trying to help them understand what we were proposing, and doing what we could to mitigate their concerns. When we did file our applications last winter, there were a number of folks who issued statements of concern, and we filed a very comprehensive response. The things we're hearing always, and we understand this: safety, always going to be an issue. Traffic, light, noise, etc. But because we've been consulting for almost 2 years, I had the benefit of being able to sit with our engineering teams and say, these are the types of concerns we have to mitigate. And selfishly, I think that we've gone the extra mile to mitigating those concerns. Now, there are still some folks in the footprint who are not satisfied. I met with some of them as recently as yesterday. And I will continue, and we will continue to talk to them and try to address and make sure that they understand the commitments we are making. We may end up going to a hearing in front of the AER. That's now in the AER's hands. The regulatory file is basically complete, if you will. The consultation's been done. The responses to all of the concerns have been filed, and we're now awaiting the AER's decision on that. But like I said, as recently as yesterday, I was talking to one of the landowners who has expressed concern, and I think that they know that our door is always open to try to continue to do what we can to mitigate concerns. Luckily, Alberta has a fairly well-known, well-understood regulatory regime, and at the end, and also a surface rights or a landowner rights regime as well that's helped underpin these 60 or 80 years of development. And we certainly have not we recognized that because this is new and anything that's new raises concerns. That's why we decided to start engaging almost 2 years ago. But also recognize that we'll have to continue engaging throughout. So I'm hopeful that I think we've addressed many of the concerns. At the end of the day, there are always folks that just don't want development, and I respect that. But now it's in the hands of the regulator, in my view. But my door is always open, and we're always out talking to folks wherever we can to see if we can resolve any of the ongoing concerns or go forward concerns.
Quick question. I'm sorry, maybe not. So we talked about 1,000 ways to build this thing out. Obviously this is down the road, and maybe 100 long-term employees, and was it 4 million a year in revenue?
No, well, I don't want to get into. I don't want to negotiate with Mount View County here, but it's certainly going to be so we've that first project at the Dick Pit. We're permitting it for 30,000 tons of lithium per year. Just to put that in context, today, North America produces 4 million, or 4,000 tons. I'm sorry, the entire continent. So it's a significant new entrant into the market. So a little advertising for me there. So we're permitting for 30,000 tons. The first phase would be 12,000 tons, and that would the well system and the gathering network for the 12,000 tons would probably, again, I don't want my friends in Mountain View County quoting me on this, but I suspect that is in the order of about $5 million in tax revenue. But that project can be scaled by 3, so somewhere in the, somewhere above 10 for revenue to the community, just in pure tax revenue. So.
Okay. What is the roadmap between here and start of construction and start of revenue generation look like? Like, what's that timeline look like?
Yeah. Well, we did announce yesterday morning. Yeah, it's an interesting time. I've been doing GR and other things for a long, long time. I've never seen government quite so supportive or engaged because of the strategic nature of the asset and the geopolitics that are happening. So we're getting a lot of funding acceleration through government funding. We have to go through the regulatory process. We anticipate having the permits by year end. So and then what we're trying to do is sync up, have our permits ready and all our final engineering ready and our financing package ready so that we could be at final investment decision FID in Q1. So you could see groundbreaking on the commercial facility late Q1, early Q2. Yes, sir.
What's driving the price still going up? If demand in the EV market is going down, is it just global demand for batteries for cell phones and other things?
Yep. Yes. Yeah. EV demand may be going down. EV demand was never going to be that strong in Central Alberta. Like I grew up here, I know. But when you look at the European demand, China's demand, ironically, is starting to drive the price up. China doesn't have raw lithium. They've become very good at taking everybody else's extracted lithium and processing it. But probably one of the other biggest emerging markets, and this is a big change in Canada-Indo relationship, but under the Carney government, there's obviously been a very significant thawing of the relationship between Canada and India. And Indian demand for critical minerals, including lithium, is exponential as they work to convert their 2- and 3-wheel fleets, which is the predominant mode of transportation there, and figure out how to use energy storage, so big batteries to support their grids, to support all of the growth, particularly the population growth. So when you look around here, yeah, it doesn't look like there's a lot more EV demand. I'm sorry, the other sector I should have mentioned is Europe. Norway's at 85% electric mobility today, a Nordic country. And the passion or the political will to continue to green their economies has not dissipated. So there's a significant amount of demand for lithium for the European market as well. Of course, south of the border, with the current administration, less demand there. Here, the EV mandate's been ended, but there's incentives in place. So North American demand is not driving it, it's outside North America. Now, if North America kicked back into that demand curve, it'd be interesting to see where price goes then.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Yes,
Thanks.
thanks for your patience. I'm a little dopey from travel, but that all eyes are on Alberta, and we really look forward to getting established and becoming a meaningful part of the community. And we are excited about the idea that we can, in this footprint in Mount Buchanan, near Didsbury, near Wolds, create some gravity and some jobs, some high-paying technical jobs that help kids stay in the community. And as you might imagine, I'm in conversations with Olds College and with Red Deer Polytechnic about what those programs would look like. So a lot going on, but we're thinking down that path. The only other thing that I might mention is the AER has a process now. Yes, they hear from those who have concerns about projects, but they've now implemented an opportunity for those entities and landowners, and we do have some landowners who are prepared to provide letters of support. So should council be interested in doing so, I'd be happy to discuss that going forward. I have no expectation. I recognize that that's a big ask, but I just wanted to flag that for you. There is an opportunity to actually support the project. So,
Excellent. Thanks very much, Lee.
Yes.
CEO, maybe you just want to add something, sir?
Just a question for you, Lee. It's my understanding you had a meeting with Mountain View County Council yesterday, similar presentation. What was their stance on the project, and are they going to be issuing support?
I asked them the same question as we were leaving, and I haven't heard back an official response. I'm hopeful that they'll be interested. It was a better presentation because my CEO Chris was with me, and he's a lot smarter than I am. But so I'll bring him next time I come up. But I think it was well received, we were happy to have that opportunity as well. And anytime it makes sense to come back and address council in a more cogent and clever fashion, or more easy to understand fashion, I'd be happy to do that anytime. And I'm particularly happy to bring Chris, our CEO, who conceived of all of this.
Is there a particular timeline, if you have that question in front of council, about the letter of support that you need to buy? If this is something that's going to be included in the submission package to the AER?
Yeah, yes, and thank you for asking. It would be within the next 2 weeks if council's interested. Thank you.
I would just invite council, if they want to have a conversation on that tonight, while the agenda's a little lighter than what's coming on the 23rd before your break in July, then at least the administration will have clear direction if they're to work with Lee to provide that letter about how Didsbury may feel that it's beneficial to Didsbury's.
Okay. Yeah. We do that. It's not on the agenda. You want to just do it now? Okay.
Yeah.
Open the floor to thoughts on providing a letter of support then.
I think, thank you for the presentation. I think at this time it's tricky for me to want to jump right on the letter of support for an industry I just learned 5 minutes ago.
Indeed.
I think
Very fair.
I would need to understand it significantly more. No disrespect meant to your presentation at all.
None taken.
Very well presented at a high level, but especially if it's going to be, within our community or adjacent to our community, it needs to, at least for me, to have a more detailed understanding than just a high level one for the purpose of a letter of recommendation, at least within a 2-week period.
Man, if he works then April, that's unusual.
They taught me any word.
Who else? Bob, Troy, Kurt, anyone?
I agree. Sometimes you have to reduce it to the ridiculous for me. And so just help me understand, we've got water in the ground
That's it.
that has somewhat felt contaminated. Probably we shouldn't drink it.
No, you definitely want to drink it. It's about
And-
7 times saltier than the
Yeah.
sea.
And you're just going to take that out, extract the lithium from that and put it back in. I think I understand what's going on. I don't know enough about it like Will.
Yeah.
So I would probably need at least a few days to examine any sort of information I can get, even if you have something you can send my way.
Yeah, I'll definitely send some to CAO Simpson.
Before I can.
Very fair.
I'm leaning that way, but I don't have the information to make an educated answer.
Yeah, totally respect that, 100%.
But thank you.
Yeah, I should have been here earlier. This is the upshot of all of that, but I'm glad I made it tonight. So
Now, can you tell us which location you're happiest to be in, Washington, Ottawa, or Dittsburg?
Didsbury, 100%, and even more than Calgary, because it took me about I don't know what's going on with Calgary traffic. I don't even live in the deep south. It took me more than an hour to get out of Calgary. Can I come up and live up here?
Yes.
Okay. No, definitely. Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, I think I would just echo Councillor Stevens' comments. I do see eventual merit in possibly putting something forward. I just think the 2-week timeline is a little tight based on us just gathering this information, but would appreciate you forwarding on any other information to the CAO and that we could review
Happy to.
and have a more study to kind of understand.
Yeah, and happy to come back at any time. Hopefully a little fresher and smarter next time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's clear that there's some possible, economic upside for Didsbury in the long run
Believe so.
from this. I think that the piece that we need to understand as a council is what are the impacts, potentially negative, I'll say,
Yep.
impacts to the town and to our neighbors in Mountain View County. And not necessarily our responsibility, but they are our neighbors, so we need to be cognizant of that
100%.
relationship.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for coming in tonight. Appreciate it, and we can discuss it further once we get a little more technical information. We can review and make a decision.
Very fair. Thank you for your time and your patience with me
No,
tonight.
thank
So
you.
I'm going to go home and go to sleep. Thank you for the time.
Appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
If I could get a quick motion on the delegation, that would be great.
I move to thank E3 Lithium for its delegation and accept it as an information.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, that takes us to the minutes from the last council meeting. Open the floor to any comments, questions, concerns about the minutes? No? No? If I could just get a motion to accept the minutes then?
I move that council adopt the May 26, 2026 regular council meeting minutes as presented.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Kurt. All in favor? Motion is carried. Sorry, you're not hearing that rustling through the mic, are you? Sorry about that. Okay, that takes us to the CAO report. Everybody had a chance to review it. I'll open the floor to questions or comments on the report then. Go ahead, Bob.
Thank you for the report. I'm curious, I've had quite a few questions about the roads to be repaired after being torn up for our water reservoir, and just an update on when some of those roads will be back in place, in particular right down there, just off, like on our main street. that one side is quite dipped now. And so I've had quite a few people come to me and ask, so I thought I'd bring that forward during the CAO.
Bear with me, Mr. Chair. I thought I had that information handy in my email, but I am believing it should be. We had a bit of a situation last week with heavy rain, so they had to close it off. So that pushed it back, but I think it's next week they should be coming back to put the asphalt in and fill that in.
Okay.
So Porter Paving, I believe, is the contractor working on that one, and they, if not Urban Dirt Works, I'm trying to remember which one we're paying for that piece because I got two of them in town. But it's on the radar. We've been going back and forth about it in the email with the Director of Public Works and our contact on the engineering side. So very soon.
Good to hear. It is quite the suspension tester. So
Yeah.
excellent. Any other questions on the report? No. Excellent. Okay, if I could just get a motion on it, then that'd be great. Will, yeah.
I move that council accept the Chief Administrative Officer report for June 11th, 2026 as information.
So thank you. All in favor? Motion is carried. Sorry, Mr. CAO.
Just a note, I was asked to bring back the information on the cost of the porta potty at the dog park, and I do have that. So it'll be about $1,000, $1,095 for the season, which would include about $265 a month for the rent, and then the cleaning weekly is $42.50, so a little less than $50 from a local supplier.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I just need a refresher on that. Did we already make a motion to do that, or we'll bring that forward? Okay, yeah, perfect.
It's there.
Good, okay, excellent.
It's there.
Yeah, I was pretty sure. I just, like our E3 friend, I was traveling today, so my brain's a little foggy. Okay, that takes us to item 7 on the agenda, which is bylaws and policies. And that takes us to FIN 004-26, which is the payment authority bylaw. Everybody had a chance to review that? Yeah, okay, are there questions, comments? No, Norm? No? Okay. Can we get a motion then?
I move that council approve FIN 004-26 payment authority policy as presented.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Kurt. All in favor? Excellent. Motion is carried. Thank you. That takes us to item 7.2, which is the privacy management plan. Before we get into it, I'll maybe ask the CEO to just expound on this a little bit for the gallery.
So there's a provincial requirement now for each municipality to have a privacy management plan in place, and the deadline for that is today, June 11th. Ta-da!
It's timely then.
Hey, we're on time. So essentially the privacy management plan, which I'll be asking you to approve today, it can be added to as we go, is there to, I guess, demonstrate how we protect our information that we are in possession of. So we do carry people's personal information in our databases, right? We have names, phone numbers, addresses, we have EFT info, stuff like that. And the government of Alberta, in their new legislation, has stepped up the requirement for municipalities to be sure that they are safeguarding it properly. So the plan illustrates the different elements that we have to address, and we have our suggested controls in place in the plans at the moment. We may add further controls as we go, but there's a lot of municipalities across the province that are working to get this plan together. It was a kind of a huge undertaking, and it was one of the final pieces that our former legislator, Jocelyn Baxter, put together for us. And she worked a lot of late nights getting this stuff together. And it covers everything from the digital information to the hard information, our town backups, how we will be training staff to make sure that they are privacy trained. The obligation for a municipality when it comes to the information they hold, the default position is that every record should be visible to the public. However, when it gets to information about individuals, that is definitely the opposite, right? And so this covers in broad strokes all of the ways that we touch on protecting the privacy of individuals, right down to if we have third parties that we share private information with to do business and deliver programs and services, we need to see copies of their privacy policy. They must have one for us to be working with them. We also ask that if there's companies that have information stored in servers, that they are stored in Canada and not abroad, so that they are subject at least to the Canadian standard of privacy law. A lot of stuff like that. It's one of them administrative beauties that we just got to dig down and dig deep on, and it's going to be an ongoing thing. But tonight we ask council to approve this one, stand it up, and it'll be on the website for anyone to inspect and offer feedback on.
Can I ask what governed this prior to this being implemented today?
So the regulations under the Protection of Privacy Act and the regulations under the Access to Information Act were previously contained in a similar legislation for FOIP. We've always followed the regulations, but I think the intent of the government here is to create a unified, clear standard for municipalities to follow. And I think their intention is to be able to demonstrate to the public that we are doing our due diligence in keeping their information safe. In an age of cyber attacks, website exploitations, you heard Peggy say today, even their website got wiped out along with 200,000 others. This stuff happens. And so privacy breaches are serious, and we have a duty to maintain secure databases of the information we collect from the people we provide service to. And this plan sort of sets that in motion, I guess I would say, in a much more detailed scale than before.
Okay. It is no light policy.
No,
It's about 30 pages or so, give or take, so it's fairly robust. Other questions?
You took one of my questions, so thank you. Sorry. No, that's good, because I had a few. I just wanted to clarify, I guess, just one of the details that you said. So as the mandate's provided provincially, like saying you need to include this measure for this instance, this measure for this instance, this measure for this instance, and then it's up to each municipality to interpret it. I guess what I'm curious is, how are these interpreted broadly the same across municipalities? Like, how much leeway were we given in terms of how it's implemented? And is this I guess I'll make it a two-part question. Is this in addition to the existing policies that our mayor brought up, or is it sort of taking over instead of those cybersecurity and physical security policies?
So the plan is going to tie in all of the existing policies that we have under one piece, and I guess add more robust language around the expectations that we have for safeguarding information in new ways as it comes up. 20 years ago, people weren't doing business with companies that had data stored on servers in Europe. You know what I mean? So as the landscape changes, therefore must this plan come into place and tie all your bylaws in and stipulate the areas that you really need to be paying attention to. All municipalities are following similar plans. I did have the privilege of being able to peek at the Town of Lowell's plan. It's very similar to what we've got, and there are elements that are listed on the Privacy Commissioner's website that must be addressed in the plan. So the public can track this down from the provincial level at the OIPC website and see how we're matching our plan to that and addressing those elements and making sure that we're checking the boxes.
Sorry, Will, you have more than one. Sorry, Bob. Sorry.
Thank you. The second one is sort of related to the data that we do collect. Obviously, physical copies held in paper, I assume on site, and then up to X amount of time. Is all of our, because I remember very early on when we were sort of newly set up, there was a server update, I believe. Is all of the other information held on site servers? Like, we're not renting out AWS or anything like that, right?
We have a contract with our IT vendor for the backups, for the off-site backups, which are done on a regular basis. So I think it's daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually. But they've got that. Yeah.
Just curious, is there any additional training or education that needs to be done based on this to our current staff, administration, council?
I would say training in the area of privacy management can be an ongoing thing. And every time there's a new decision issued by a court where a municipality or an individual or an agent of a municipality erred, there's a new set of considerations at common law that you have to take into account. Our intention through this plan is to make sure that all of our staff that are dealing in private information have access to only the appropriate level, for starters, of information that they need. And then further to help them understand how privacy information fits into the equation when they are delivering services. Also the access to information piece, which isn't necessarily contained here, but when the public is asking for information, to help the staff understand what they can share and how to share it. So yeah, there will be regular sessions that I may put notes together or examine some case law announcements that come out through the courts, or I may bring in a third party to give information or teach some lessons. Usually a lawyer could do that. There's resources to the Privacy Commissioner as well for that. So yeah, training's going to be an ongoing thing. I would say the senior staff in particular are very well versed. The staff in corporate services are very well versed in knowing where they can and can't share information. But it can be tricky too, because sometimes you may get an organization that doesn't understand the legislation well, and they won't share anything, and they're not understanding there are obligations to share certain bits of information when you are requested to. I'm hoping that that's not the case here. I haven't run afoul of any breaches in the town in the 8 months that I've been here, so I think everything's well in hand. And certain staff members will be going for refresher training for ATIA and POPA. Yeah.
Just a second question around this. So you did state in your first comments that the third parties that we work with will need to have something in place as well. Do we have any idea of those groups that we currently have the support of and work with that would need to be able to develop this? Is it quite a high percentage, or the majority of them already have something in place and we're just kind of reminding them of the fact?
Well, the beauty of the private sector is that they still have privacy legislation of their own they have to follow. And they do have an obligation to protect private information of individuals as well. So it's not completely new to them either. And I believe everybody that we're working with has provided us a copy of said policy for us to keep on record and make sure that it's meeting our standards. So, for example, the IT company, there may be the utility company, which helps us with the meter reading. So there's a lot of civic information and people's names attached to water bills, right? Stuff like that. And we would ask them, when you're doing your backups, where's your stuff going? And it's in Canada. So examples like that.
What about like publicly funded groups, municipally funded groups in our community? Is that the same expectation of the?
I'm not sure if that will be involved with society.
We have someone from the library who is saying yes. So any agency that touches us through statute, like the library, yes. FCSS, the neighborhood place, yes. Nonprofit societies that are arm's length from us, I'm unsure of what the legislation does for them, but I'm pretty sure the obligation would extend outward to anybody that's collecting private information under some piece of legislation or another. It might just be different for the societies than us, but anything that's tied to us, any of our arm's length organizations such as the library, yes, they are falling under that same obligation, correct?
Follow-up, sure. Just a brief comment. I wanted to add all the questions surrounding it. Thank you for the answers on that. I appreciate it. The actual letter of the document, I was very happy with after reading through it. So I just, it's good to get the surrounding information, but I think Ms. Baxter, I know she's not watching, did a great job.
You never know.
I believe.
Any other questions or comments? Council? No? Okay, excellent. If I could just get a motion on the policy.
A motion to adopt the Didsbury Privacy Management Plan is presented and make a digital copy to the PMP available on the town website for public access.
Excellent, thank you. All in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, that takes us on to item 8, which is business. Item 8.1 being the Butte Reservoir Emergency Backup Generator request for decision. I have no doubt there'll be questions on this, so I'll open the floor.
Yeah, just wondering, this was originally in the plan, and it seems like a lot of money for something that was now an RFD or like being brought in after. What's the backstory on that?
So the backstory, as I understand it, is it wasn't necessarily in the initial plan. There's a backup generator that was planned for with the new reservoir. During the course of the project, it was recommended that we have a backup generator at the butte as well, so that we have the ability to move water in the event of a power failure system-wide through the pipes both ways. Because once this new reservoir is completed, we still intend to hold some water in that butte system and have that as a, well, it's going to be sort of in play live, but if this supply from the commission were ever to fail, we would still have a couple of days for the municipality, or at the very least, we would have an extra supply of water for firefighting that we can move through. Even in the month of May, we lost power at the Butte Reservoir once for sure that I'm aware of, and it does happen periodically throughout the year. The hope was that we could fund this through the Alberta Municipal Wastewater Program, the AMWWP grant that we have for the East Reservoir. And so we did the change scope because we had money left in the budget for it, but it's been further clarified by AMWWP. No, they don't consider that part of the same project, even though it's connected to the system. So I'm asking council tonight to go ahead and approve this through the water reserve, which we have funding for in there. The idea is just to continue to create a water supply system that has backups. Power does get lost at that reservoir every year. It's just lucky because it's on a hill, and so gravity will do some of the work, but it certainly wouldn't provide us what we need pressure-wise for firefighting. You know, if we lost power for those pumps, things of that nature.
So we don't lose service to the community. It comes at a lower PSI, let's say, but it does come at a too low of a PSI for proper firefighting.
Correct, and I think firefighting pressures in the southeast corner of town are pretty low at the moment, but that's going to be a longer-term problem to fix. That's my understanding is correct.
Okay.
So the cost, the $127,000, that covers the generator, I assume the transfer switch, site work, engineering commissioning, like the total bill. That's installed and ready to go.
As I understand it, yes.
Okay, thank you.
No, nothing. Okay. If there's nothing further, I guess we'll ask for a motion. Okay, good. Yep.
I move the council approve the installation of a backup generator at the Butte Reservoir for $127,000 funded from the water reserve.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. All in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you, council.
Item 8.2 is the committee for the pickleball partnership proposal. I didn't want to fumble that with all those P's. So that's a lot of alliteration. Do we have questions around this? No? My proposal was going to be, and I'll open the floor up to debate on this. I'm informed by the CEO that we could potentially use the same three councillors for this that are doing the Sterling Rock, and the meetings could be held at the same time, so it would require a separate secondary meeting. How does everybody feel about that? Especially the three gentlemen that are being nominated right now.
I think that the Sterling Rock Committee will be probably done in maybe 2 more meetings.
Okay.
Maybe 1 even. So to just carry on with this, I don't think it would be. This will, I think, be a little bit more than what the Sterling Rock was, but I think, I don't know, what do you guys think? I think we're going to be done in 1, maybe 2 more meetings, and we'll bring it to council, and council can decide from there.
Okay. You're
I
all right?
would agree with.
You're okay? Okay.
And I just have clarification, who's on that committee, so that the committee knows who they are?
All right. Then I'll ask one of the members that have just got nominated to maybe put forward the motion for this. How's that? Oh, yeah, actually, maybe you're right. Procedurally, maybe that should be somebody else. Bob, yeah, go ahead.
Move to strike a committee partnership project ad hoc committee to make a recommendation to the council on the proposed pickleball courts and to appoint councillors Engel, Mahan, and Lambert to the committee.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Bob. All in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. have item 8.3, which is the 2026 capital budget amendment for the golf course sanitary service project. I think we're all pretty familiar with this. We have the problem with the sanitation field at the golf course. And we were given one of 3 solutions to correct the situation. The cheapest of which was a standard, I've lost the word all of a sudden, field solution, which would lead to long-term maintenance, which, because that is a city property, fall to us to maintain long-term for the next 10, 20, whatever years that field stayed in service. The most expensive of the 3 options was, I'll say, the best way to do it long-term with the lowest maintenance costs, which is tying it directly into the city's sewage system. Those are sort of the options on the table, and then there was a middle option, which I didn't quite understand, but I think the effluent was going to eventually flow out into the ponds on the golf course, was the sort of middle-priced option. Do you want to elaborate, Michael?
Yeah, so the middle option was maybe the most complex option. It was to capture the water from a field and then treat it and then discharge it into the pond at the golf course, but it would require a level 4 certification system operator. So keeping one of those around would be interesting, considering the town's own needs really don't rise above level 2. And it maybe had the most moving parts. You had to have some knowledge there. I think I understand why the engineers recommend either the cheapest option, which is just to replace the field for 70, and I also understand council's looking sort of down the road in the big picture. Set it and forget it. Build a system that'll just take it on with fewer moving parts, and in the end, you'll have fewer issues maintaining it. Considering the facility is only in use for part of the year, having a field that's dormant and then having to go back and maintain or winterize that might be interesting, I guess I would say, without having the proper certified operator, either us or the golf course. The third option we would ask for an amendment to the capital budget for just add that $105,000, because we are going to be doing a bit of a crossing under some fairways and into an area where there's some older pipes. So the engineers said, given some of the unknowns in that area, the higher contingency of the extra 70 grand they asked for in their contingency is not unreasonable. It's our hope that the project goes smoothly and we just tie in it and we don't wind up using that full 245. But if I because we had 140K set aside for that at the start for this project, if we just amend it, then I'm covered off and I can proceed to engage a contractor with ISL and get that built before the end of this season.
Yeah, so just for clarity for everyone in the room and any of the ratepayers that may be online, the 3 options that we were given were the first option, which was the just standard septic field, was $70,000. The second and more complex item was $119,000. And then the third option was $245,000, which is the ask for the additional budget on that. So just for clarification for everybody. Go ahead, Norm.
Just to wonder if, I wonder if our CAO could just elaborate a little bit on the difference between the 105 and 245, the contingency issue.
So our initial budget was $140,000. Option 3, with the contingency included, is budgeted at $245,000. So just give me $105,000, then I've got the $245,000 required for the option 3, if that's your selection. It's in the memo that ISL provided. Again, the contingency is 70 of that 245. So let me just roll it. It's on page 9 here. And I left this memo in there so that everyone can see what information you're working with on this decision. So the Gravity Mains project cost is hopefully going to be $175 or better. $70K is the contingency at 40%, just in case.
Go ahead, Kurt.
I think it's important to note, and we kind of touched on it briefly, but this is actually a strategic investment in town infrastructure. And the project improves the municipal asset, and it helps ensure the property is well positioned to meet our future and needs and opportunities. So that's part of the wisdom, I think, in going with the proper way to deal with it. And so I'm in favor of this.
Okay. Yeah, one of the things we discussed was the long-term needs, and I don't want to freak out the folks at the golf course, but should that land ever be used for something else 20 years from now or something, If we put a septic system in there, we would then have to tear that entire septic system back out to, I don't know, say redevelop it for condos or something like that. Not that that's in the cards, but just hypothetically speaking.
I think the other thing is too is, I believe with the town growing with all these new housing developments and stuff, that the golf course is gonna grow with more members, and
Fair point, yeah.
we're gonna need it more and more as the years go on, so. And nothing gets any cheaper if we wait.
True. Go ahead, Wood.
Yeah, I also agree. I think in general, creating or choosing to do a temporary solution to a permanent problem isn't, like, I'm not thrilled about the expenditure, but if it is in fact something where we simply just do it properly the first time and then it's solved, yes, it's expensive, but it will ideally pay down the road in lack of maintenance on the other options. And also, as Councillor Mahan mentioned, the increased cost of everything. So,
Yeah, I'll agree. Norm, you had something? All right. That's two tonight. Excellent. Go ahead.
So, in summary, just for the lifespan component of this, the low capital cost option of the field is about a 30 to 50 year solution, but the sanitary main, just the drain, that's a 100-year solution. So you'll be fixing it for multiple generations.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions for the CAO? No? Okay, I'll ask for a motion from Norm. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to move to amend the 2026 capital budget to add $105,000 to the golf course sanitary sewer connection project for a total project cost of $245,000 to be funded from the Strategic Initiative and Contingency Reserve and proceed with option 3.
Thank you very much. All in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you very much, Nolan.
Thank you, Council.
Okay, that takes us to, where are we here? Sorry, lost my way. Item 8.4, the Didsbury Public Engagement Summary Report. Everybody had a chance to review that very lengthy document?
I'm scrolling.
Be scrolling for a while. Do we have comments, questions from councillors?
So I would just like to say that the uncensored public feedback is appreciated. It reflects the transparency and accountability of this council and its relationship with the residents of Didsbury. The information provided is valuable and has been reviewed. This is probably the most public, this is probably the most comprehensive public engagement results I've ever seen in my time on council. So I really want to thank the administration for gathering all this information, putting it together, and I believe that these results are definitely going to help us when it comes to developing and refining our strategic plan. So great work. It is a big document, and I do recommend that people read it. And all the comments are in here. This is completely transparent, so thank you.
Oh, excellent. Thanks, Kurt. Anything further?
I'm going to echo somewhat of what Kurt said and just add that I'm really happy as well as to see the comments directly from people, to see what they want to say. And I guess if I could have one thing I would want to see from this survey more would be more responses. It's, a great opportunity for people to be able to speak their minds in whatever way they so choose. I read the whole thing top to bottom. It took the better part of a day, but it was worth it. And I look forward to hopefully seeing more responses in the future.
Michael?
So to the council, a thought. The devil's in the details, and the meat of this is really in the appendices. the digital surveys produced different results and comments than the ones where there were in-person exchanges between council and the public. But one of the interesting ones is the public satisfaction survey, which sort of sets a snapshot about how people feel about the quality of their experience with the staff, with council. There's transparency questions in there. And I would highly recommend in 2 years that this council issue that survey specifically with those same questions again, and then council will have a bit of a report card for themselves to see, have we moved the dial on people's satisfaction level with how we're doing things, providing facilities, providing service? Is it up? Is it down? It has been a useful exercise in other municipalities to come back with the same questions, ask it again after working on your strat plan for 2 years, and see if perception has changed. So, I mean, we did this at the start of the term. You guys went through all of this while we were in strat planning during our workshops. The good, the bad, and the ugly, as I like to call these kinds of reports because I've issued these before. And I agree with the councillors, and I thank them for allowing us to print this information as we received it, because it really is a mirror of where the public's at. And sometimes you gotta, take that shot, but the public sees you owning the state of the town, I guess, and where it's at. You now have a roadmap on how your strat plan is going to move you to different responses, favorable responses in the future based on the actions you undertake in that plan. And so this is, at this juncture, it's important to keep our promise to the public that we said, we're going to do all of this stuff. And there's always skepticism on, well, how are we going to know whether you listened? The first step is to show them what they said and say, yep, we took it all down and we looked at it, and now it's going to feed into our plan. So when you're doing projects in the future, you should be able to tie them back to comments, themes, I would say, moreover, that you collected in that strat plan. I think the home run was roads and pathways, for sure, is in there.
It's pretty clear.
Yeah, so administration certainly worked hard to put them together, so I would thank my staff, Lisa, Militia, and I know she's not here anymore, but Jocelyn, in working and getting all of this stuff on, putting the engagements on, going through the comments, which sometimes there's some emotional language in there, and it can be a little tough to read 100 pages of that, but we got through it, and here we are. And so for the public, here's what you had to say, and it's now going to be part of the equation when council is making decisions, especially in the short and long term.
Thank you very much, Mr. CEO. Appreciate that. Norm?
Yeah, in addition to the comments that are made, thank you, Michael, for your credit to the ones who helped you work through that. Well done. I just wanted to capture the importance of the comments that are made in there concerning the bias of a survey such as this and the engagements. And that is that we as council, I believe, need to be paying attention to more than just this. There is, I call them those that have not engaged in the process, whether it be online or in person, we represent them as well. And so we need to keep our ears to the rail, as it were, to be able to understand what their positions are, and also realizing that those who have expressed their information and their feelings are also representative of some of those as well. It's not that it's without that. But so online surveys and in-person engagements miss some elderly, mentioned already, low income, technology challenged residents, and I'd add, and those that don't have the time to engage but are nevertheless residents of the community and interested in where we go.
Yeah, if I can add to your comments, Norm. Coming from the automotive space, I know how customer satisfaction surveys work. It's something I deal with on a daily basis almost. And you'll always hear from the people who are either raving fans or the opposite end of the spectrum and are absolutely displeased. And you very, very rarely hear from that, probably about 80% of them in the middle. I often refer to them as the silent majority. Yeah, thanks, yeah. And those are the people that I think we'll start to hear more from after seeing this. That, you know, as Michael called it, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the commentary that we got. People will either identify with some of it or not, and start to form a more, you know, solid position on how they feel we're doing as a job so far, even with the, you know, limited runway that we've had. But I really like the idea that the CAO put forward about, you know, revisiting this, and I don't even know if I'd want to leave it 2 years. Maybe it's something, maybe there's something we could do on an annual basis that's maybe a slightly compressed version, and then, you know, a bigger one, something like we do what we call a pulse survey, which is sort of a little bit more compressed version. I don't know. Anyway, it's something we could maybe look at. So, go ahead, Lynn.
I'm just curious, you know, this has been presented to us, it's going to be public. Are we specifically looking at, as you said, the CAO said, some of those themes being shared with departments within administration, beyond what would come out of the strategic plan, as well as groups, associations, agencies in the town who are mentioned? Are they going to, or are we just going to assume that they're going to find that information, or are we actually going to share these themes with some of those groups?
You know, that's a great point, Councillor Murray. I would absolutely run through some of these themes with my senior staff. A lot of those themes, they are already aware. We do hear it on a daily in a variety of different mediums, usually email, but we get people at the counter, phone calls as well. But certainly going through it with them and saying, okay, here's what we got, and here's the hill that we're going to climb. For example, you know, if we want to achieve better in our focus on customer service, we start with the baseline of here's where we are being rated, not just council, not the town as a whole. How are we going to improve that satisfaction level, right? Because not all of them were fantastic. Oddly enough, in this satisfaction survey too, there was a real splitting of people's sentiment as well. I would hope to see things move more to the somewhat to very satisfied and less from the very dissatisfied. But yeah, we can absolutely go through that with staff. I do have a meeting on Monday to review the draft strategic plan that you guys had helped me put together over those workshops, and we can talk about that component as well.
Okay. Any other comments? No? All right, I'll just ask for a motion then. Go ahead, Erwin.
I move that council approves the Didsbury Public Engagement Summary Report completed April 2026 for public information and publication on the town website.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. All in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Okay, that takes us to item 9 on the agenda, which is council reports. We have one written submission from Councillor Lambert. I'll open up the floor maybe to him first if he wants to speak about the report at all. And then if there's questions and comments, we can go from there.
Just if those images that were released, those came from a counselor at the PRLS meeting that we had just a little while ago. That's in my report, the meeting report, but he had a meeting with the minister just with everything coming down with the new bills. And it was just stuff that was brought to the attention of all the council members from all the municipalities of the type of subject matter that's in some of the libraries. So they just thought it was important that all the towns in that PRLS system, all the councillors would go back to their councils if they so wished to show that that type of content that is available in some of our libraries. So that's what I included because it was given to me. I included it in my package.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or comments on this before we move on to any other, oral reports or anything? No? Okay. Does anybody have any oral reports they'd like to add for committee meetings or? Okay. Go ahead, Norm.
Oops, sorry. Yesterday was the Mountain View Water Commission meeting at the Henday plant. Of note to council and the community is the new logo. There's a new logo and an updated, robust website has been approved. The website is in the place to go or is the place to go to for public administration and council looking for meeting agendas, approved minutes, water reports, and other information about water. If you have any questions, they have when the website gets posted very shortly, please use the contact us page. And the website is mountainviewwater.com. And the recent rains have been a welcome relief, and most of the snowmelt upstream has happened already. And the newly approved holding ponds are in the technical planning stage with hopes to put shovels in the ground this fall. Pretty ambitious, but it's our plan. And the commission is working closely with Didsbury and the new East Reservoirs connection to the town's water system.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Councillor. Any others?
Yeah, I'll just touch quickly on what Erwin said earlier, that we did have a Sterling curling committee meeting last night, and we had the delegation of the presenters were there to answer any questions. And I think we're at a point now where we probably will hopefully have a recommendation for council in the next, maybe even by the next meeting, by the next council meeting. So it was a good meeting, and we really that would be our report on it, I guess. So we're working with them.
Sounds like it rocked.
It rocked.
All right, excellent. I had to beat.
Stop that. That's terrible.
I had to beat him to it. I had to beat him to it.
Sorry.
It made Will's eyes water a little bit, I think. Excellent. All right. So no other council reports. So if I could just get a motion on the reports, then that would be great.
Move to accept the June 11th, 2026 council reports as information.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Will. All in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Okay, that takes us to correspondence and information, of which we have two. There's item 10.1, which is the MP Blaine Calkins letter. Everybody reviewed that, related to Canada Day, as support of the town. Go ahead.
I just had a thought and a question. Does the town do any specific observation for Canada Day? Like any event or anything put on by the town?
Fireworks.
Excellent. Okay. I guess I'm curious regarding these, or is it a bunch of these Canadian flag pins? I don't know if that's something we can, I was wondering if it's a good option to do so, since the museum also puts on a Canada Day event there. I was wondering if that could be either provided by us to people from that event, or either given to the museum for them to provide to people. I thought that
seems the idea.
The easiest way. Wasn't sure if that was already the plan or not, but it seemed like the best way to do it.
I'm not sure if staff had a plan on how to distribute those pins. I didn't check the count on it, but yeah, we can certainly hand them over to the museum for distribution on Canada Day. Yes, absolutely. There will be some community group events happening in the Moose Park as well, I believe, on that day. So there will be festivities. Typically, community groups would put stuff on, so I just encourage people to get out and be around Didsbury on Canada Day, particularly down near the old high school lands, as it's affectionately known.
Excellent. Sorry, just for clarity for everybody in the room, they sent us a bunch of Canadian flag pins, and a new Canadian flag was also sent to us. We don't know how many pins were sent?
Not many.
Okay, so not enough to give out to the community.
It may just be for you fine folks, I'm not sure, but...
Gotcha. Okay. When I read the letter, it sounded like it was something we were supposed to give out, so... Yeah, okay. I'm glad we're clarifying that. Okay, good. Any other questions or comments on that one? Excellent, okay. And then we also have the MBC letter to the Minister of Municipal Affairs, excuse me, related to Bill 28 and the impact of libraries. Is there questions or comments around that? No? Okay, excellent. I'll just ask for, oh, sorry. Is that for the motion or you have a question? Okay, go ahead. Okay.
I move to accept the correspondence correspondence for June 11th, 2026 as information.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Councillor. All in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. That takes us to item 11 on the agenda, which is question period. I'll open up the floor to anyone in the gallery.
Push the talk button. You betcha.